Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from Qur'anite.com. Today is Wednesday, 22nd of November 2017, and today is a little bit of a departure from my current series on tyranny and various types of tyranny, etc. It's a very short video. It's really in a response to my mailbag, which kind of goes through tendencies, goes through sort of phases, I suppose, but I've been getting quite a lot of mail, which I think the essence of which is really to do with people not really having found their thing. And my sense is that there are quite a lot of frustrated people out there, and some of the more vocal and I don't know, sort of active ones, I think sort of transpose some of their thoughts onto other people, etc. I'm going to talk about my experience because that's all I've really got here. I led a sort of normal life, right? And I just did what everyone else did and did the work and went to, had a job and all of that sort of thing. And at some point, I became completely dissatisfied with what I was doing because I knew that I was meant to do something else. And I think that some people who watch my stuff, I think that they, perhaps they like or they don't like or whatever what I've done. But I think what they recognize, or certain people recognize, is that they should be doing something, and that is what I call people to. It's not. My opinion is that each of us has got a field to dig. We've got a plot of land to dig, and that is ours to dig. And we all recognize when somebody has got that. And I used to recognize it when I didn't have it in people who have got it. And I'll tell you somebody who had it. I think he's lost it to some degree, but I'm going to use this as an example because he's somebody there's no sort of emotion attached to it. It's an easy subject, and he's somebody that everybody knows about. David Beckham. David Beckham had this thing when David Beckham was like, David Beckham. I'm not a huge football guy, but you could spot David Beckham, not just because he was a good-looking guy and all the rest of it, but he had the look. He had the look of somebody who really knew what he was about. And I saw David Beckham interviewed, and he said in this interview that he knew from the age of 6 that he wanted to play, that he was going to play football. He was going to play for Manchester United. Now, that's very specific. It wasn't just that he was going to be a professional footballer. It was that he was going to play for Manchester United. And he did. And not only did he play for Manchester United, he went on to captain Manchester United and England, as I'm sure everyone knows. But what I saw in people like David Beckham is this sense of purpose. Now, for David Beckham, it was all very simple. And it's just a matter of putting a ball in the back of a net. And David Beckham did it incredibly well. But when you are resolved around a single purpose, a single duty, life becomes much simpler. And I think that a certain section of my audience, I think what I do in some ways almost illuminates or shines a bit of light on a frustration that's in their life, that they're not doing something. And I tend to get quite a lot of mail, the underlying import of which is that they kind of want what I've got. And what I'm saying is that I used not to have this. I know the difference between having it and not having it. And what I'm trying to do is to say that it's not infectious. It's not something you can catch. It's not something anyone else can give you. It's something you have to work out for yourself. But what I can tell you from my own experience is that a really good place to start is what really, really bugs you. You know, what really is the thing that deep down that you feel, I hate to use this word because it's going to start sounding Californian. I was going to say passionate about, but that's become so meaningless. What would you do if money were no object, that circumstances allowed it, that if you knew that you were going to die tomorrow, the thing that you want on your gravestone, the thing that if you leave everything else aside, that you know that you're here for? Because I think that the type of people who write to me with this sort of stuff, I think that they've got this. If they didn't, it wouldn't bug them. But I think that they're making a mistake. I would have made a very poor David Beckham, and other people are going to make a very poor me or anyone else. You do have it. I don't know what your kind of implementation is going to look like, but if you didn't have a hunger for it, it wouldn't trouble you. The fact that you have a hunger for it indicates that there's a dissonance between how you're made and what you've got. See, most people don't really care. I mean, I always used to think, I've always had a sense of my own destiny. I've known it all my life. I didn't know exactly where I was going for a lot of it, but I knew that I had this purpose. I didn't know what it was. But a lot of people don't have that. And if they don't have it, it doesn't trouble them. I was surprised to discover that they don't have it, but they really, really don't. So if you do have this frustrated sense of purpose, it means that underneath that somewhere, and I'm not saying this to be nice to you, I honestly believe this, underneath this somewhere, there is a treasure to be dug up. But you have to dig it. It's just how it is. You can't ride piggyback. You can't, there's no sort of doubling up on this. It doesn't work that way by nature, the virtue of what it is. And I would also like it, for people to understand that giving me advice isn't your calling. I have a whole stream of advice coming to me, and frankly, I ignore all of it pretty much. What I look at is I don't even listen to what people say anymore. If you saw my inbox, you'd understand. I look at what people do. That's all I really look at. So I look at the actions, because everyone's talking now. Anyway, that's a separate issue. But what I'm trying to say is that the way through this, I think, is fundamental honesty with yourself, some very long walks, and listening, and then courage and determination and just, resilience. But what I found in digging the field that I'm meant to dig is that when you start digging it, it's not that everything goes perfectly well, because that wasn't my experience. I had some of the biggest hits, especially financial ones. Things were tough. But you get a kind of a second wind. God blesses the sincere. I don't know how it works. I just have experienced it to be the case, because I found the thing that I was meant to dig. I found my field and I started digging it and did not let go. But you can't simulate this. You can only... These are crops you have to grow. And you have to dig, and you have to break up the soil, and you have to plant them, and you just have to keep doing it. There's just a lot of it is hard work. But it isn't only hard work. You got to be in the right space. I can't give you a formula for it. There isn't one. But I do know that the fact that you have a hunger for this and that there is a frustrated sense there means that underneath that there is this kernel of potential. This isn't a pep talk. I'm not trying to sort of talk you up. I'm just explaining how it works. But I don't need any more advice on how to do my thing. People who help me and assist me in whatever way, great, that's fantastic. But I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying I don't make mistakes and all the rest of it, but I do know where I am and what I'm doing and why. And I think that if you take some long walks and listen and then have the courage to go with the truth within the truth, this thing will begin to grow, and it will be what you're meant to do. And I don't think that God has duplicates. I don't think there's any waste. I hope this helps. I'm doing my best to explain something I don't fully understand, but I know that no two human beings are the same. And if God wanted you to be you and to do the thing that you're born to do. So I think the way to find it is by asking God for guidance and then listening. And it's to do with quiet. I'll tell you how you're not going to find it. Perhaps it's easy if I tell you how you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it hanging out with lots of people. You're not going to find it listening to music. You're not going to find it talking about nonsense. You're not going to find it taking drugs and alcohol. You're not going to find it eating crap food. You're not going to find it looking to other people. You're not going to find it anywhere except in yourself. You're not going to find it by trying to repeat something else or trying to simulate something that gives you a certain set of feelings. You're only going to find it by doing something that hasn't been done yet. There isn't a book about this. There isn't a how-to on this. If this weren't something that you had, to find anew, like discover in the original, you wouldn't be frustrated because you'd be like everyone else. So it's a kind of a backhanded compliment. I hope this helps. I've done my best to explain it, and I'm trying to explain something I don't fully understand, but I'm going to leave it there. That's all for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Qur'an free using the button in the top right-hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. I also encourage you to sign up for the Qur'anite Plus newsletter on the site to get occasional micro updates. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Qur'an alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop down below to donate if you would like to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short, eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.